For the love of games!
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Steve from pixelattack.net and this is our Time Rifters review. Have you ever played a multiplayer game and felt frustrated by your incompetent teammates? It can be a hair-pulling experience watching your team fail over and over again, and you've likely wished at one point or another you could just clone yourself. Well, now you can, and like the old saying goes, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Time Rifters is a puzzle first-person shooter developed by Proton Studios and made using the Unity engine. While puzzle first-person shooters are nothing new, Time Rifters brings a unique twist to the table. You control 4 teammates, playing each consecutively alongside your previous recordings. And working together, or alone rather, you'll take on a series of what effectively amounts to complex shooting galleries. The game is broken up into episodes, with each offering 5 challenge arenas that you'll work your way through. You'll start as your first teammate in a lobby room where you'll choose the weapon that your team member will use for the duration of that episode, as well as select a few upgrades for that weapon. Then when you're ready, you'll walk through a door and begin the challenge. The goal of each challenge arena is simple: destroy all of the blocks and let none escape. It sounds simple, and in a way, it is, but the real depth of Time Rifters comes from orchestrating each of your playthroughs so that they overlap in a complementary fashion. Each member of your team needs to know their role and work together with the other teammates. If a previous version of you shoots a block and a more current version of you shoots that same block, it'll get destroyed faster. The only problem being that the previous teammate is only recording and they'll continue to shoot at empty space. The concept itself isn't entirely unique. Earlier in the year, we saw the release of Super Time Force, a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that had much the same concept. But Time Rifters benefits from more focus and somewhat reduced mechanics. You only have 4 members of your team, which means that each is going to have to be used to their utmost effectiveness. It feels awkward at first when you enter a challenge for the first time and find yourself having to make the decision to ignore whole formations of spawning blocks because you'll get to them on the next round. But after a while, you'll begin to formulate strategies on the fly, immediately knowing where to be when and what to do. That isn't to say that Time Rifters is easy. It's kind of far from it, actually. I found earning scores in the 70 to 80% range to not be too challenging my first time, but Time Rifters feels like a game that demands and encourages perfection, and even runs where I was at 98% left me feeling dissatisfied until I went back and perfected it. Speaking of perfection, it's not as simple as being in the right place at the right time shooting the right blocks. There is a surprising amount of depth to Time Rifters in the form of its item shop and economy. There are 6 weapons that you can choose from at the beginning of each chapter, and you can even select the same weapon across multiple characters. The guns are varied, and it becomes immediately apparent that all of them serve specific purposes. The particle ball was great for getting in close and decimating groups of blocks quickly, while the plasma beam was great for a long-range sniping of hard-to-reach blocks. Each block you destroy will spit out gold that you can gather by getting close enough to it. Collect enough gold and you can purchase upgrades for your weapons in between challenges. What is interesting is that even though the upgrades are each in their own separate category, things like increased burst damage or acid that does damage over time and so on, each upgrade you purchase will mean that any upgrade from another category will also go up in price. This creates a really unique system where you build your guns into specialized roles. The flak cannon spits out bits of relatively weak ammunition in a shotgun spread style of fire, and while I was tempted at first to upgrade the gun to reduce the spread of the bullets, I found later that leaving the spread as is, but combining it with acid made for a really effective acid spray style of weapon for coating tons of bricks very quickly. The weapons all feel balanced for their intended role, and the players will need to spend some time on each map to know which weapons are best suited for specific situations. The spread rifle is great for shooting rows of blocks, but its row of bullets is wasted potential shooting at single targets, unless you're up close, in which case it kinda acts like a shotgun. Shooting bricks might not seem like a lot of fun, but it really is. Each brick is color-coded to determine just how much health it has, with red bricks being the weakest, followed by the slighter, stronger white and the bothersome yellow, which take a concentrated effort to take down. There are also odd machine-like contraptions on a few levels that have vulnerable cores, but open and close, making that target harder to hit. Each episode and the requisite challenges all feel fairly diverse. Episode 1 poses a bit of a problem because it ends up being far too easy once the player understands what is required of them and how to succeed. A few of those levels I completed early because on my third turn I had already destroyed all of the bricks. While it serves as a nice tutorial level, it also means that I have zero inclination to ever go back and play it again. But between the other 2 episodes, there is plenty of challenges as you push yourself to perform better and better at each one. The levels look great but aren't overly distracting, so you can always remain focused on what you need to be doing. Each round you'll play as a team member is usually only for a minute or 2, so each challenge is long enough to enchant but brief enough to stave off fatigue and keep things going at a nice pace. Time Rifters looks gorgeous, and there is a certain enchantment as you blast your way around the arenas. The colors are vivid and solid black outline that traces the shapes really makes the blocks pop out from the scenery. The best part, by and large though, is the formation that the blocks assemble themselves in. Shooting blocks sounds dull, but Proton Studios has put a lot of time and effort into making the shooting galleries interesting pieces of art. Blocks will assemble into snake-like conglomerations, slithering around the environment, or they'll form pyramids or butterflies that fly around overhead. Each level has a serious amount of attention paid to it and how the blocks form, when they arrive, and how they move through the level. The only real problem I had aesthetically with the game was the fact that your body remains totally visible and detached from your camera. So looking down, you are greeted with a shot of your dismembered torso, and you can even turn your head all the way around and stare directly behind you, but clearly see your body facing forward. It's not a major complaint by any means, but made the game feel a little bit rougher than it otherwise should have. If Time Rifters is gorgeous to look at, the same could be doubly said for what it's like to listen to. The guns themselves sound fairly standard, but what really steals the show is the electronic soundtrack that accompanies you in challenges. Each track is wonderful to listen to and provides that extra slick kick to keep things going in overdrive. And I found myself often replaying levels just to listen to those tracks one more time. There is also a really interesting asymmetrical multiplayer feature called Let's Replay, where you can save recordings of yourself in challenges and upload them for your friends to download. The idea is novel but also creative, as players could download replays of their friends or YouTubers or various online personalities and pretend like they're playing alongside of them. The only thing really holding Time Rifters back is that it took me just under 2 hours to play through everything the game had to offer. Each episode has an additional experimental mode, which removed the economy from the game in favor of perfecting your runs and achieving the highest score possible. But beyond that, there isn't much else. This wouldn't be a problem if the challenges in the episodes were intricate and required multiple playthroughs in order to perfect, but I found I knew the routines and spawns of blocks after only 1 or 2 playthroughs of each, and so given a little time spent on each level, I wouldn't be shocked to hear that most people would be able to achieve perfect scores. If anything, this highlights just how good Time Rifters is, that at the moment I finished it for the nth time, I was desperate for something new, which hopefully Proton Studios eventually offers for the game. The experience of working cooperatively with yourself is just too damn fun. Mastering a single role is not a big deal, but having to memorize 4 is a satisfying challenge that I look forward to again and again, even if there might not be the greatest challenges awaiting me. Time Rifters is an exciting step forward for this genre. It takes ideas that it knows works but does something new with them in a way that makes the whole package feel really fresh. With a few more challenges or maybe some special modes that up the ante or difficulty in various ways, Time Rifters would be a must-buy. But even as it stands, I have to give this game a glowing recommendation. If you're a fan of puzzle shooters, you owe it to yourself to jump in and give it a spin. Time Rifters is a beautiful and unique challenge worthy of your dollar. If you want more great gaming sexiness, be sure to check us out at pixelattack.net for more videos, reviews, and all that good stuff, and add us on Twitter at pixelattack. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.